So library homepage is the best place to start doing your research. Under subject guides, and this is kind of going to be something that I hope is that y'all use. Under subject guides, every subject area of the university has a guide specifically made for it. This includes media and entertainment arts. So y'all have y'all's own guide. So this guide is kind of a jumping off point. It's a great place to start your research. So I generally add a bunch of stuff to it every year. So if you ever think of something, feel free to tell me and I will add it. But the homepage is very boring. I know, it's just where a bunch of links live. But once you start getting into these tabs, that's where you're going to start finding the information that you want. So the encyclopedia tab is a great place to kind of get background information if you're still playing around with the topic. So one thing I recommend, especially if you're playing around with the topic, is Credo reference. So if you're trying to figure something out, say music festivals, then you can type in what you're looking for, hit search, and it will start bringing back information about various music festivals, pop festivals. You'll start seeing festivals from all around the world. But something that I like about Credo is that it creates a mind map for you. So as you can see, not Coachella and stuff like that doesn't pop up, but you may see something that sounds interesting or a rabbit hole that you've never really thought about falling down before. But anytime that you're playing around with the mind map, it will update automatically when you click on something. So National Folk Festival, and then it will change all of the information that you see. So it's a good way to play around and get ideas. So if you haven't locked down your topic, this is potentially a database that you will want to play around with. Let's see how many times I can say play around. So, and when you click on any of these links, so any of the article links, first off, my computer will take forever. Why, technology, why? So these are all going to be encyclopedia articles, dictionary articles. They're short, they give you very basic information, but again, these are good ways to find search terms or phrases, or if you're wanting to double check that this happened in a particular region or a particular place, that is what Credo is for. Now, going back to the guide, if you are looking very much at a music heavy topic, Oxford Music Online is a great resource to use. So say you are trying to decide on a topic, well, Oxford Music Online, you have everything from audio engineering to music and law to people in music cultures. So it's a great tool for that. So if I click on audio engineering, it'll bring up a ton of information related to this field. So you'll see particular people, you'll see things that are part of audio engineering. So it's a good way to find that kind of that content. Now, say you're wanting to look at an occupation within music, also a great place to look. As you can see, librarian or archivist, we have fun. But you can also see music technologist, you can see music manager, music educator. So it's a good, very music obviously oriented database, but you get a lot of good content out of it. One particular thing about this is a good place, like if you know a particular person that you're looking for that might be big several years back in the field, this would be a good place to look. However, if you're looking for more current names, that's going to be a different process. But just like Credo, once you click on any of these, it'll open up an article that talks about that person or that particular aspect of the field. And also you will get these lovely bibliographies that you can then go and find in the library. Also, another fun thing about music online is you can look at a particular region. So if you wanted to look at the Americas, or if you wanted to look at Europe, Asia, Oceania, or Africa, again, this database has a lot of information if you want to fall down the rabbit hole. I do it often. So, yeah. So, okay. I know I'm going very fast through these encyclopedias, but these are ones that are great for y'all to use. Now, scholarly peer-reviewed journal articles. You can find these under Find Articles, but currently I have a bunch of EBSCOhost databases listed for this field. As we get more ProQuest stuff in, I will probably update this list accordingly. But the databases I have here, I think are good jumping off points. They cover a wide range of information. So say we click on communication source. That's about, if you have used academic search for MEA, this database should be very familiar to you. Now, since this is an upper level, a couple of different tricks that I'm going to talk about. So first off, if you're an EBSCOhost, click on choose databases, and you can go in and add a wide variety of databases. So you're doing one big search instead of going individually to these databases. So you can add in academic search from here. If you want to look at business, you can add in business source complete. I always add in Humanities International. And then again, if you're looking at music, just because last semester we had a lot of people that started off doing music related topics. That's why I'm talking about it so much. But music index. So I clicked on communication source to begin with, but now we are going to be searching 5 databases.
So let me interrupt just for a second, if I could. Is there anything that you see that would be on the, say, film or video side at this point, or television, for example? Are there databases that are that specific? I guess because we've seen some music stuff, but I'm curious about the other side of our area at this point.
So a lot of film and television will actually be included in communication source.
Okay, good.
And also Humanities International.
Got it. Thank you.
Music is the one that gets to be the special snowflake and has all of its own stuff, whereas yes, film and television get wrapped up in communication, business, and some of the other ones. Maybe art and architecture. We'll add that one too.
Okay, great.
I don't know. Somebody give me a topic.
I will.
All right, what you got?
Mine's live streamed persona management, esports persona management.
We're gonna bring it down to live stream and esports first, and then we'll see about persona. So what comes up is currently 2 periodicals with that topic. Let's see what happens when we just focus it on esports. So if we look at esports, then we get almost 1,000 results. However, if we add in live stream, as you saw, we lose a ton of this information. So, see what happens when I add in persona.
That's interesting. How about management instead of persona? Trying to think very broadly and see what happens here.
So we get back up to 62, which actually is a very good starting point. So something you'll notice is that we are getting
Russian
articles that are in other languages. There is an option over on the left-hand side to limit your resources to a language that you can read and understand. So if you can read Russian, you can leave those in there. But if you're like me and your second language was French, we're going to get rid of the Russian. So, I'm just going to pick a random one. That way we can look at it. So, when you are looking at your articles, what is going to happen is one of 3 things. One, it will open automatically to the article. So if the PDF had been attached to this record, it would have opened immediately to that. In this case, since it's a linked full text, what it does is it brings you to the detailed record page where you can go ahead and read the abstract, which I always recommend that you do before reading an article, because this will give you the general gist of the article and will let you know very quickly if this is an article that you want to read further or not. So instead of reading something that is 8 or 20 pages long, you can read this abstract and be like, okay, yes, I want to read this further, and then go into the article instead of realizing halfway through this article is not for you.
Thanks for that tip.
Yeah. Another good thing about these detailed record pages is all of this information right here. So this is the controlled vocabulary of the database. So you can easily start getting ideas for how to interact with the database on these search terms. So we have esports, but if I click on this particular esports, it runs a new search with that subject term. So it's looking specifically for all of that. So just clicking back into this. So this is just the controlled vocabulary. So as you find articles that you like, make a note of these. That way it helps you facilitate your research in a way that the back end of the databases understand. Now, once you read through the abstract and you're like, this article is for me, then obviously go into the article, read through it, take notes, make an annotated bibliography. I do those all the time. They are extremely useful research tools. But as you're reading, make note of their citations. So say like you read this particular paragraph and you're like, yes, this is what I want to talk about in my project. Make note of who they're citing. That way, when you get to the end of the article, you can find that citation as I scroll forever. And you can go and find that article for yourself. So if you find one good article, or even just like 2 paragraphs out of an article that are like, yes, this is my topic, find those resources because you can walk away with 2 or 3 other articles. So suddenly you have 4 instead of having to go through one article at a time. So work smarter. It's what we all do.
That's really, really good. Let me pause for a second and just interject that you're going to need students about 15 total. So when you hit the gold mine, as she's saying, even if it's just a paragraph within a larger article, you're going to want to mine down, just like she's doing here, and find where that information came from. And so looking in the bibliography, this is an endnote situation. So when you see those little numbers in the paragraph, they're referring to this back part of your of the article, and it shows where they're getting their information from. And so that's really stumbling on a rich resource. Thanks.
Yep. And another thing, as y'all are looking through these articles, if there is data that they use and you like what they're talking about or you want to learn more, make a note of them as well. That way you can go pull the research yourself. So pretty much everybody will have a citation or a DOI number attached to these tables. That way it's easy for you to go and find this information. And when I see DOI, that just means digital object identifier. So think of it as a social security card number of that piece of information. So if I clicked on one of these, what it should do is go and find it for me in that particular database. Okay. Any questions so far? Have I lost anybody? Have I overwhelmed anybody? Okay. So going back to the results list. Now, as you're doing research, you're going to notice that, say, this article, you read through it, you read the abstract, you're like, this sounds great, I want to read it further. Well, when that happens, there's these find it buttons. What these buttons do is they check our other databases and our holdings within the library to see if we have it. So in the case of this particular article, especially since it's a 2020 article, we don't have it anywhere yet, or it's under embargo, so our system can't pull it up. When this happens, ILL is your best friend. And over the summer, we actually updated our system, so Our turnaround rate is about 24 hours for articles and other digital items. However, books and physical items do take a little while longer. So when you run across this kind of a situation and our system tells you to request it through ILL, just copy and paste all of this information into the article form. So you fill out all of this information, everything that has a red asterisk, make sure you put in. But the more information you give us, the quicker we can turn around and get it back to you. So, and before you freak out seeing something like cash payment, ILL is not a cost to you. Your tuition dollars already cover it. So don't worry about that. But yeah, at no point do you have to pay a fee. However, if you borrow a physical item and are late returning it, then there will be a fee involved. We do not set those fees, so be very, very careful with that, because I've seen them as cheap as 25 cents per day that it's late and upwards of $10 per day that it's late. So physical items, be careful. But if you request an article or a book chapter, those are digital and they stay on our servers for 30 days. So as you can see, I have some hanging out right here. But 30 days, if you lose it in those 30 days or your computer dies, what have you, you can come back, log back in, download it again, and it is yours. However, 31st day, our system does a wipe of it, and you would need to put in a new request. So, ILL is a great tool to use. If for some reason you have something come up that requires you to lose a week or two of doing research, it happens, and you don't want to deal with those find it buttons, there is a button over on the left-hand side that will allow you to circumvent those little find it buttons. However, currently we're at 769, and as you can see, there was about 300 results that you just lost in this one particular search. So you miss out on a lot of content, but obviously if something comes up and you don't want to deal with those buttons, you have this option. So that's searching in these databases. Everybody feeling good about database work?
Does do any students want her to search a different term that they're interested in, to see what it looks like?
That's free research time.
Yeah, that esports search was really good. Keep in mind, what she did was on the top left of the screen there, you've got those search windows. She put in one major term per window instead of writing everything you want in that first window. It's not like a Google search. You need to identify what's going to get the most sort of search results under one term like esports under one window and then management under another. So there's a strategy there.
So yeah, with databases, break them up into keywords and phrases. Don't search them like we all do for Google. So, does anybody want me to search their topic or their idea for a topic? Let's see. Oh, so what about Foley?
Foley isn't like how they would apply it to a documentary.
Okay. Seriously? Sometimes the lights are dark, sometimes they're not. All right.
There was a question from the class about is this information going to be available in another form, and I am recording this for your information, but none of the students' faces are shown, so just be aware this resource will be available as long as my computer can handle the file size. And I'll put it.
If need be, I can always type up the tips and tricks that I talked about in this presentation as well.
Okay, that might be nice.
So if that's something that would be helpful, please let me know.
Okay.
So the person that requested Foley and documentary.
Yep.
All right. I'm going to see what happens. So we get 37 results. Let's see. I'm seeing a lot about documentaries.
Yeah, the Foleys are coming back a lot of time as last people's names, and so in terms of doing Foley, if you understand it for film and stage, you're pretty well positioned to apply it to a documentary. But that's a kind of specialized search right there. So you can back it up, Cameron, to instead of just talking about documentaries, Foley for film, for example, will probably give you a lot more results, and then you can kind of have more to swim through because you'll noticing as you go down the list here, Foley is being triggered by people's last names as Foley.
Let's try Foley, and then as you can see, so these lovely drop-down boxes are called Boolean operators. This is what you're going to use to break up your searches. So currently we have Foley, and then we have and then as you can see within this search, I have film or movie or motion picture or cinema. What these ORs do is bring back a bunch of different results. So instead of just searching for film, it's also going to replace the search with film or movie or motion picture or cinema. So it's looking for those different types of terminology. Yeah, those different types of terms. So,
336, yeah.
Yep, again, I'm getting motion pictures, film, and I have a feeling as I keep going that I will see Foley as a last name. So.
That looks a lot better at 336.
Right, so you have a lot more wiggle room at 336 to see if there's information for you.
And that's the number of results, of course, 336.
Mm-hmm. And that's just with the full text button on. If I take the full text button off, we go up to 581. So, yep, there's one with Foley's last name. Yeah, so you definitely need to play around with this, especially since this is a niche topic that I obviously do not know. So you just need to play around with your search terms and see what is there for you. Anybody else want some free research? Yes? No? Maybe so?
Well, I mean, I'm doing the Foley and the music for a documentary that a friend is doing, so music for film.
That's good.
All right, music and film. Always love music and film. All right, so currently I have it broken up as music and film, and as you can see, I get 87,000 results.
Jesus.
Maybe,
You're welcome.
are you looking at scores or there's also synchronizing, which is the business side of how to pair music and film together. You know, you need certain sort of clearances and licenses that would come under synchronizing.
Well,
yeah.
I'll be making they're not going to be complicated, but I'll be like composing all the tracks for it.
Okay, so you'll compose that, so that won't be an issue. Let's see. So music, I think music, film, and then maybe background.
Let's see what happens.
So tell me, does the primary search set the horizon of what is then searched within those terms? So maybe doing...
No, so what it
doesn't?
will do
Okay.
is it will rerun the search. So say even if we will clear the search. So if I clear the search all the way back to the beginning, so it helps if I spell things correctly. In background, we had about 9,000 something. So if I clear the search, what it does is it just does that same search. So anytime you change something up here, it's running a brand new search.
Okay, what about if you put film first and then background and then music? Would you also get 9378? Just out of curiosity.
The same thing.
Mm-hmm.
However, it just reorganizes
Mm-hmm.
your results depending on the order of the words. So you're
Yes.
looking for film, background, and then music. However, let's see what happens if I do music.
There
If
you
you start
go.
having phrases together,
Yes.
the database automatically tries to search those words together.
The effective
And then
background
also
music in
better.
shark documentaries. That one already looks great. Yeah, so that's more precise. That
That sounds like it'll be what I need.
Yeah, that's good.
And then again, always check these detailed record pages because it'll give you ideas for those search terms, like environmental music. And then also authors will supply keywords as well, trying to help you out in any way that it can. So as you can see from where I was searching, I was doing background music, so it pulled it from the actual abstract, which is why it got brought up. So title and abstract are also getting searched.
Awesome.
And then again, you always have the option to limit it to full text. With a field like this, I generally stay away from the scholarly peer reviewed journal button because this pulls up periodicals that are coming from trade magazines or newspapers, reviews, and other parts of journals. So y'all are one of those fields that I don't really have to tell you to be like, make sure you're using scholarly peer reviewed journal articles because y'all use everything and it's great. So.
Yeah, that's right. You'll find magazine articles, as she said, original source films, recordings.
Mm-hmm.
Everything's fair game. I just need to make sure that you have, like I said, a majority of the things you present on are academic peer-reviewed journals, which are going to be harder to read, but that's really where you're going to get the value in terms of your approach to your topic area. It needs to be clearly stated in academic terms, because that's where we are right now.
Yes, absolutely. So, how's everybody feeling about the journal articles side of databases? All right. So, let me introduce you to IBIS World. IBIS World is a business resource. So, depending on your topic, this may be useful for you. If you're not really looking at an industry side of something, you can ignore me for 5 minutes. Doesn't hurt my feelings. But I like using this database because it will give you a ton of information that is relevant to a particular industry or a particular company. So, since we're talking about film, who do I want to pick on today? We're going to pick on Disney. All right. So, as you can see, I typed in Disney. When you search for something, it is going to bring you back everything that is kind of related to that company. So Disney plays a major role in cable networks, in amusement parks, water parks, intellectual property licensing, all of this beautifulness. So say you want to look at television broadcasting in the United States. I'm just going to pick on television right now because it's the only thing we have left. What this will do is give you an overview of everything. Something that IBIS World has been trying to do, and I've actually really enjoyed this, is because of the global pandemic, they're trying to put into all of these records how the pandemic has impacted that particular industry. But as you scroll through, this first page is going to be kind of the about page. You're going to get an industry definition. You're going to get supply chain information. You're going to get who the major players are. So NBC, Disney, and 21st Century Fox. And this particular report came out in April of 2020. So you can see that right up here at the top. And then it just gives you an overview of everything. It also will tell you similar industries that you might want to look at. as you scroll through all of this information, you can also, on the left side, see all of this other information. So say if you want to look at the industry at a glance, what it will do is give you key statistics, it'll give you industry structure. Like, you will get a ton of data from this report.
Is it possible to deduce like trends? Like if I'm trying to position these students so that they can recognize how to position themselves to a sort of quickly changing dynamic marketplace for, seeing the key players is good. Yeah, so the trends, that's good. I see that there now. Okay.
Yeah, it was supposed to jump me automatically through this. So it's like you can see trends, you'll get executive summaries, you get industry outlook. So kind of what they see happening.
Yes. Okay.
I have a question.
Okay.
So you keep saying the word report. Would you cite this as a website or as an individual report when you do your bibliography?
I would cite this as an individual report because that is what this information does. So it's not a website, it is a report.
Is it possible to deduce trends in their hiring? Like what kinds of positions are growth areas within the industry drivers, or generally speaking?
Let's see. So let's see what's external drivers.
What we've done in the past has been to look at just go into looking at job advertisements themselves and to try to like cross correlate and look for those kind of key terms, action verbs and things about what kind of jobs are hot and what kind of skill sets are associated to them. But if that's already done for us in some way, that would be cool.
One thing I do like is that you can search within all of these.
Yes.
All right. Current performance, industry employment is expected to grow at 1.6%.
Mm-hmm. Okay, that's useful information.
Yeah, so there is some of that in here. It's one of those that if you're looking for something very specific, the quickest way to do it is to do a search within.
Yes.
Which this database makes it very easy to do.
Great.
So, and also a good thing about this is you can download this. So you can download it as a PDF, and it should include all of this information. So this particular report is 50 pages long. And you get a really good lovely table of contents.
That's beautiful.
And again, I mean, I don't know if this would be something relevant to classes, but like I've been really proud of IBIS World including these impact statements from the pandemic because it is very interesting to see those impacts.
It used to take so much research and time in the library to find an overview of an industry that was succinctly stated and is something as little as 50 pages. This is just incredible.
Yeah, you get a ton of information. Also, they will give you what I call the help Kathryn understand what is happening section. So it'll tell you additional resources to look at. So you get suggestions for websites. If you want to know how they're defining something within the report, you get the jargon for that. You get definitions. And it also tells you how the regions are being broken down. So if you're looking at the West Coast, you have those particular ones, Great Lakes, Mid-Atlantic. This report is extremely helpful.
That's fantastic.
So that is IBIS World. Another database that you can use for industries that I recommend, though I still prefer IBIS World, is Nexis-Uni. So Nexis-Uni generally has the reputation of this is the database that you go to look up legal cases. You can also look up company information. So say that you read that industry report and you want to know more about 21st century fox. And you can get to show you a company profile, you can get all company information, analyst reports, mergers and acquisitions, SEC filings. So I generally put it to all company information. You can hit search, and what it will do is bring you back everything that is related to 21st century fox. As you can see, the first couple of ones are SEC filings, and you can see when those filings happen. So this one is from August 2018, August 2016. You have the option to obviously sort by relevance, or you can sort by newest to oldest. So if you're looking for more current information, you can do that. So apparently there's a company profile from December 2020. I don't know how that works, but okay. But anytime you click on these, so you have your stock reviews, all this. I'm going back to relevancy because I want to show you what these are. So SEC filings from 2018. It will include everything that the SEC needs to know for this company. So you will get legal proceedings, you will get financial statements, lots and lots of financial statements. But all of that's going to be included in here. It is very dry.
Yes.
And it is very boring. But there is good information in here because it will definitely give you like background information of a particular company in case for some reason like their website does not give you an easy answer. These will be easy answers because these are all legal, so they have to be as dumb as humanly possible.
I have a question for you.
Okay.
So if students know generally the kind of things that they like to do or that they want to do, but they don't know how to name the industry that fits in most naturally, those industry reports are super, super valuable, as you said. Is there a way to see like an overview, like you mentioned the keywords that were driving some of the databases? Like I know the government has industries sort of numerically coded for like taxes and stuff. Is there a way to see an archive or a list of industry names, industry sectors, I guess the way they're named for our field, which is, everything from broadcast to film and cinema, audio production, like it's kind of broad, music publishing, music management, so that to kind of empower them. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So every industry is given a code, and NAICS code. And you can use nixcode.com. Well, it's nix.com. But you can enter in what you're looking for. So this will give you the breakdown of the codes, but it will also kind of give you that idea of which industry it is in. So you can do it in this one, or you can do it in IBIS world.
Okay, could you enter in like music management and see what the results are?
So this is all of the codes that apply.
That's good.
That music management could kind of fall under. So the higher in the list it is, the more likely it's going to be, but you're going to start seeing, like when they start bringing in just regular management as well.
Yes. Okay, that's good. I see music publishers there, music products, musical groups and artists. That's interesting. Okay, just curious about that. I'll dig around a little bit. I'd like to give them a resource like on Canvas that just shows, a map and get them sort of more focused about how their area of interest is represented in these databases.
And then also at the same time, like if you are wanting to look at music publishing, you can also do that search in IBIS World.
Yes.
Because it will also do the look for you.
Right.
That way.
Mm-hmm.
So you have two good resources.
Okay.
So Nix.com or IBIS World. And I'll make sure that Nix gets added back to my LibGuide, which should be available in Canvas under library resources. If it's not there, I will figure out what went wrong.
Okay. Okay, that's great.
Yeah. So questions about IBIS World or Nexis-Uni?
I have one.
Good?
So
All right,
I
what?
looked around through IBIS World, and because esports is such a new industry, I didn't find much of anything.
Right. What happens with the hyphen? I wonder if that impacts anything. Yeah. Mm-hmm. That's good.
I got some options with electronic sports or other spectator sports. Let's see, promoters of performing arts, sports, and similar events without facilities.
Yeah, and so that would include streaming. Events without facilities, that's interesting.
What happens when I do that same search? I see sports services in the US. I don't think it's what we want. I think that's going to be more.
Interesting. So it immediately triggers the gambling industry. Like that's the most closely associated established area. Yeah, so Mallory, you kind of have, that's the positives and the negatives for you. I think that you're in an extreme growth area, but because it's very new, you're going to have to dig, perhaps by industry drivers. So Mallory, some of the main companies, right?
I do, yes.
So if you operated from that position of strength, so you can name those companies and we can search perhaps under those companies.
Activision Blizzard.
Activision Wizard?
Activision Blizzard.
Oh, Blizzard, sorry.
All right, so, okay, I recognize that name now. So it's popping up as video games in the US, video game software publishing in the US, and social network game development. So, let's see what happens there.
At least I got three.
Right. But it's like at the same time, this will at least give you information about, so like, let's go to major companies. You can get good information about the companies that you're looking at. So you have Microsoft, GameStop. Wait, is GameStop still alive? I'm too old. But you can get down to like Action Blizzard and get information about the company. So it's still good information. Like you'll get financial performance and all of that. And you'll also kind of see who they're all competing against. So like EA Games. And then you also have, it'll mention some other maybe potentially smaller companies. So like you can still get some good information. But like you said, since you are doing esports and it is a baby in the world still, even though it's been around for 10 years?
It depends how you define it, but yeah, at least a couple decades.
Yeah, like it's been around for a while, so yeah, you're gonna have to get creative. It's gonna be good, but creative.
Yeah, so that mining of, if it's showing up somewhere, that means there's extra resources underneath the surface. So if you only get 3 results on that first search, just do like Professor New is doing and look at the, go in there and look around and you can find supporting information and hopefully extra resources. And remember, IBIS World here, like this is really interesting and useful, but it's just one section of a full perspective. So instead of people talking about, the meaning of, say, the importance of gender in esports, like that's an academic sort of reflection on your area of interest, IBIS World is going to give you, the nuts and bolts of like you're at a board meeting, like who are the competing companies, who has market share, what's the production supply chain. And that's all very, very important. It's just another side of the same coin.
Right. Yeah. Now, so over in Nexis-Uni, I think you may have some better luck with these sports. I just did electronic sports, And the first thing that popped up was Esports Entertainment, LLC. So it's like, and it looks like an acquisition murder thing that was finalized this weekend. So Nexis-Uni may be something you want to play around in. It's going to be dry, I'm sorry. But you're going to see stuff like Electronic Sports World Cup. So let me just show you again how dry Nexis-Uni is.
And so when a company buys another company, they have to file a report with the Securities and Exchange Commission. And so that's an example of, what you're seeing here. So you're aware of who's acquiring whom, and the particulars of that.
Yeah. Also, those reports are fun, especially if you get, and again, I'm a nerd, I apologize in advance for that. But AT&T had a big merger last year, and you will see in the SEC filings what they had to get rid of so that they could acquire the thing that they want. So these reports will tell you a lot about how a particular company is prioritizing what they're doing.
That's awesome.
You can find some very interesting nuggets of information within SEC filings.
I have another question for you. So I know that some of the students are, I asked them whose work inspires them. So they have front of mind, many of them, names of film producers or music composers or whatever that may be. Finding, what I call source text. So actual works of art that are created by these people. Is there a recommended procedure if we wanted to find not necessarily TV shows, but films or recordings, actual media content that's associated to a certain industry player? How would you recommend would be the easiest way to do that, or most efficient?
This is going to be one of those moments that, as a librarian, I hate saying, but in certain cases, especially if you were looking at a newer or still alive person, Google is probably going to be the best way to do that.
Mm-hmm.
So, it hurts my soul to say that, but
you shouldn't. I mean, that's a resource among several. You've showed us a lot that we don't know.
Yeah. So, say you were wanting to look at somebody. Give me a person.
Markeisha, are you here? Markeisha Watson has some really good.
Yeah, I'm on here.
Who are the female TV show producers and writers you were talking about?
So I chose Ava DuVernay, Lena Waithe, and Shonda Rhimes.
There she is. Let's go with that first one.
All right. So, especially for people that are definitely still alive, and Ava DuVernay is an amazing human being in general. 9 times out of 10, they're going to have their own website. So what you can do is a quick Google search will let you know if they have a website, or if they are attached to a particular company, that will pop up as well. But this will be something that they themselves or their team will maintain.
Yes.
So this is a good way to see what they are working on,
mm-hmm.
or have worked on. And then obviously you'll get an about page, so kind of a very basic page like that. Another good thing about picking people that are very current in the world still is 9 times out of 10, they're going to have a Twitter or they're going to have an Instagram. And we are in the day and age where every major citation style will tell you how to cite a tweet.
Yeah, that's good.
This is their own personal archive.
Yeah, so let me reiterate, you guys, because we're in a young discipline, this stuff is fair game as long as you know how to, I guess, do the citation would be important. But I'm just looking for balance. I don't want you to, cite a bunch of artist websites and social media only. I need you to have the awareness that IBIS World gives you of what industry you're looking at. And then, unfortunately, like Professor New said, sometimes it requires that a great creator actually dies before academics start to look at their work. But that's what I was going to say is let's check and see what EBSCOhost has any under her.
So I'm going to do communication source, business source. I'm going to redo the databases I was using a minute ago.
Yeah.
So exact same search metrics that we were using earlier. I'm not adding or subtracting anything. It is just her name. And I only have 603 results.
That's really good.
So this is going to be great for y'all, especially because like it's looking at like our movie The 13th that came out a couple of years ago.
And you can
get reviews about the music and the movies.
Right, so you can see if it's coming from a newspaper, an academic journal, or a periodical. There's little images there. And so what would it look like if we just searched within the last 10 years? Yep, so over 95% of the articles have come out are very recent for her.
Yep. And if we just limit it to scholarly peer reviewed, just to give you an idea, we went down to 32. So we had 538. That shows you how many things are coming out of like trade magazines and periodicals and newspapers. There's only 32 articles that talk about her work in some form or fashion.
Yeah, and so this is a growth area too, Markeisha. If you were to do the research route and do a paper on her, because there's so little that's been said about her, and you're doing academic research, you could actually publish or submit your paper for publication and start and contribute your voice to the discussion about her relevance and why she's important.
Yep. Which you should totally do because we need more information.
Yeah.
I mean, like, say we do Shonda Rhimes.
I mean, then imagine you go to a job interview and you're like, oh yeah, check this journal for my work.
Right.
That's going to be like, boom.
Yep. So it's like the same last 10 years scholarly peer review. There's less about Shonda Rhimes than there is about age of rating. So keep that in mind. So if you're looking at current individuals, there might be information about them, but at the same time, don't be disheartened when you only get 25 academic journal articles about that person. Because if you look at the content that's available without scholarly peer, I mean, you're still getting 504 results about Shonda Rhimes. They're just not coming from the Journal of Popular Culture. Well, there might have been a Journal of Popular Culture.
Yes, and we can still go inside any of those articles on the academic side and look into the bibliography and find how they're addressing, this topic and find more resources.
Oh yeah. I love bibliographies because it will include everything from the other journal articles that they're looking at to also any primary sources that you may have not thought about. So again, mine these resources.
So there was a question on the group chat. What if you looked up their companies, Shondaland or Array, Array for Ava?
All right. So in cases like this, well, especially with the word array, you're probably going to need to specify her name as well. So as you can see, we have 5 results that in some form or fashion use the word array or her name within it. See what happens when I do.
Mm-hmm.
Shondaland, I get more results for her company name. And not all of them are going. Very few are about academic research. You have a couple, but again, lots of periodicals. So, yeah. But again, you can also always go back to IBIS World and interesting. It could also still be too small, which again does not make sense because
Yeah, you're getting anything that has that word in it.
yeah. But yeah.
That's really good.
How much time do we have left?
That's, I'd like to see if there are any questions. For my purposes, I've recorded this. This is really a good one. I can see this growing quite a bit, like the scope of what we're able to find and how to use the different resources, from the encyclopedias to the, EBSCO host, finding the articles, whether they're academic or in magazines, newspapers, or other, on down to IBIS World to get a sense of what the industry is, who the main players are, and then the Nexis-Uni searches for some of the more, sort of deeper industrial information and legal information. I think this is wonderful. So I'm going to turn it over to the students to see if they have any questions.
I just had a question. Do you have office hours, Miss Kathryn?
So while technically I do not have office hours, you can email me at any point and we can set up a virtual consultation, or we can meet at Starbucks with our masks on. But
awesome.
I'm available. So that was actually going to be one of the things in my wrap up. So you have options of contacting me. You can either do a consultation request form, which all you'd have to do is fill this basic form out. So all you'd have to do is fill this form out, give me kind of a general idea of the preferred date and time, tell me what you're looking for, and then we can do either a video chat or an email, entirely up to you.
Awesome.
And I get this email, and usually give me a couple of hours between sending the request and me responding, because I am all over the place with a variety of instruction and consultation. So, but yeah, I'm easy to get a hold of, and if need be, depending on schedules, I have no problem staying late. I work with a bunch of teachers currently, so